Welcome to Martialpreneur TV. It's me, Scott. We're back again for another episode, and in this episode we have Tom Callos. Now, Tom was brought up to my attention by TJ Kennedy, who's a Martialpreneur TV interviewee. Easy for me to say. On TJ's Facebook page, I saw a YouTube video that he had posted of Tom's, explaining about how to be a professional martial arts instructor, how to be non-sleazy in your sales and all the rest of it, and giving good solid marketing advice rather than just trying to rinse everyone for, a couple of quid. So I thought, right, perfect candidate for Martialpreneur TV. I'm going to hound him and get an interview. So I did, and managed to get this interview. It's the first time I've spoken to Tom, so the interview's a little bit rushed, and he was also short for time as he had some other duties. So it was great for him just to give us some insight on his thoughts on the industry. He also shares with us a little bit about his business model as a consultant, and also gives us top 3 tips for martial arts instructors at the end. So without further ado, let's go and see what Tom's on about. Welcome to Martialpreneur TV. We've got a special guest just dropped by for us. He's agreed to talk to me. It's the first time I've spoken to him, and it's my good friend here, Tom Callos. Is that how you pronounce your name, Tom?
Yeah, it's Tom Callos.
Callos. Okay, great. A reason that I just wanted to have a quick chat with you, really, Tom, was I saw on a Facebook post that a friend of mine, TJ Kennedy, I don't know if you've met him at all, but he posted one of your YouTube videos, and I thought it was really interesting, really inspirational, and I just wanted to sort of have a chat with you a little bit more and just let you know a bit more about what we do at Martialpreneur TV. And just wanted to get your thoughts on being a professional martial arts instructor, because I can see, I've checked out your website, I can see you've got a huge amount of experience there. And I just wanted to pick your brains for 5 or 10 minutes if you could spare it for us.
Well, I'm happy to, and I've spent some time in the UK, not a lot. You can see I still have some color in my skin, yeah. But I know there are a lot of really dedicated, hardworking martial arts teachers over there, and I've been teaching martial arts and involved in martial arts school management for most of my adult life. I started teaching really young, under my instructor, and I've owned a bunch of schools, and now I work mostly as a consultant to the industry because it's easier, because I can work from anywhere, because the overhead, the ability for me to do, for example, what NAPMA did when I worked with NAPMA. We had a film guy, we had a $250,000 editing suite, we had a warehouse, we had guys who had to mail stuff out, we had a full production art department, we had an editor. It's all gone. Yep. Now with this simple device, we can, I churn out more stuff than NAPMA did, and better quality and instantly editable, where you can't do it with a DVD or print, but I can go in and re-edit and fix typos and add things I left out. And one of my clients can come a year later and say, I just read this report about, they can add a comment, and that comment brings the report back alive, where, and everything's searchable. Whereas if you had all those boxes on your shelf, like back in the day, you go, now where was that one with Joe Louis doing the kickboxing combos, and you can just search it. So the whole industry's changed because of our ability to get instant access to information.
That's great. I mean, exactly. I mean, my thoughts are the same. There's lots of readily available tools now to anyone in the martial arts industry or any business at all now, which wasn't available just a few years ago. But I mean, with the aspects of Martialpreneur, one of the reasons why I founded the website was that I did want to sort of show different ways that people could market themselves. I felt that the industry is a little bit behind in general with marketing. Would you say that's true? The likes of YouTube and that kind of thing, producing videos and
but most we don't have any really good training programs, and the people who are out sometimes spreading the most aggressive information are trying to sell something not always well thought out, because the sales development, like how to sell, is a lot more sophisticated than how to make stuff worth selling. A lot of people get, like, we have a big debacle going on in the United States where you got this guy who knows how to sell. He can hook people, he can get them for big money, but it's much harder to provide substantive, well thought out, well constructed content behind the sales. And the sale is often promising a lot of that without delivering because it's going to be delivered over time. Well, never comes. And I know I've promised things in the past where when I finally got down to working it, I went, oh man, it's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Making the promises is easy. Selling people, easy. You can, with zero money, put up a face on the internet that makes you look like a freaking star. Yeah. But really, it's a facade, you know? So I really like the internet for what you're doing, what you're able to do here in your house. This is what I like about you, Scott. I'm watching one of your videos the other day.
Okay.
And your baby's screaming over here, and all of a sudden you go, oh, he just took a shit, you know? And I'm like, you know, well, I hope the kids weren't around, you know? And it's real, it's funny, it's about conversation and spreading ideas. And you have a TV production studio right there in your school. And this just a few years ago would have been impossible.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, that's one of the things I like. It is, like you say, you can put that facade, but one of the reasons why I do leave it pretty much unedited and whatever I say, and I cock people's names up.
It's real, yeah. It's real. Yeah. You know, I almost smelled the baby poop when you said that. So
he was just crying just a second before I called you. He just started murmuring. So he might go.
You don't let that stop you, and I respect you for just getting out there and going for it. So I like this ability. You know, look, we're so far apart. You're in the UK, and I'm here in California right now. But we're talking in real time. It's science fiction. It's amazing. Now, I don't have a lot of time, so shall I spread some stuff for school owners there?
Yeah, I mean, what I'd love if you could. I was thinking maybe if you could give us a little bit more info on the 100. I was reading that. That looks an amazing website. That I really like.
It's unbelievable. But this commercial was brought to you by the 100. All right, so the 100. The idea is beyond this group. This idea. And what's being practiced and we're trying is a model for what's going to be, how information is going to be disseminated and how groups are going to cultivate their best work in the future. It may not look exactly like we do it now because technology is advancing so quickly. However, this is the idea that the 100 is built upon. Don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to be anywhere except in front of a computer. You can access whatever you need and ask questions of the best people you can find and bring together in a group instantly. All the materials archived. So in Facebook, it's really hard. You know, they have an archiving system, but to go back and find something, a real important conversation from 2 years ago, not easy. Then this instant access, like you can call me and I'm there. I pick up the freaking phone because I've got my computer with me at all times. And so that access is valuable because you don't waste time. And the old method for distribution was I wrote a report, we edited it, we sent it out. Oops, I forgot something, it's too late. And I never got your feedback. Well, now you can like it, you can criticize it, you can send it back, I can re-edit it. You can send me a video that pertains to it, I can add it to the report. And all of this happens in real time. So any organization that's trying to cultivate genius, is trying to cultivate congruency and intelligent substantive curriculum, for example, meets like this. They meet like this, and now information doesn't come from the guru down, you know, like we were all like, oh, Guru Nick, you know, Nick Kokinas. Forget about that. Now it's the whole group. Everybody interacts, and ideas come from the most novice player, from the most advanced player. They come because the tools we use, and they're affordable, they're instant, they're such a box of Crayola crayons for someone who's a creative. Yeah,
brilliant.
Groups can break down and do other side groups, and I mean it all happens in a forum that costs me, the organizer, about $50 a month. Now, every school owner is going to have something like what the 100 does. The 100's my school. Every school owner is going to have a 100 site of their own. It's not going to be called the 100. It's their thing. It's called a digital dojo. It's an online campus that accompanies your classroom.
Yep.
So in a class that night, you're sweating. You've got 6 minutes. You bring the group together. Everybody's dripping. And you go, how many of you kids know who Churchill was? They all go, tell me one thing he said or did. And they go, ugh. And so that night you go to YouTube and you find the biography of Winston Churchill and you post it on your digital site and you send it out to all your students in one blast. Just goes out and you say, I mentioned Churchill, watch this. the one who can tell me one thing that Churchill did in his life that was remarkable, in the next class, I won't kick him in the head. Whatever. And all of a sudden, now you don't have to do the biography. It was $100,000 production. Mm-hmm. Somebody intelligent put it together. You just use it as a tool. And one of the dads comes up to you and goes, I watched that video with Johnny the other night. I didn't know that Churchill was from the UK, whatever he says. So the point is that you can elaborate. You can say, does anybody know the Warrior's Code? And you don't have time, and you go, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to write a report tonight about the Warrior's Code, and you'll all have it in your inbox before morning to watch for it. Boom. You just did what would be a half-hour lecture. You mention it in 30 seconds, they go off, and mom and dad can read it. They can post it to somebody else. They can share it. I mean, it's a very powerful tool.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's just pooling all that knowledge and making it two ways.
Well, it's like having an online campus that's proprietary just for your members, that's not Facebook. Mm-hmm. It means that every day you write your book. Yep. It's the book of your knowledge. You film it, you write it, people share in it, it accumulates, it becomes the book you couldn't afford to publish. It's multimedia. It tells the story, and it creates a body of evidence of the work you do. You don't do squat. You just talk about money. You're all about winning tournaments. That's what you build. Yeah. You're interested in environmentalism or women's rights or self-defense issues. You build a body of evidence. And when eventually your campus will be like a university or a library. Yep. And the new student who comes in goes, wow, look, I just found a white belt test. This is what I'm going to do next week, right? And they can watch it. That's and right. The instructor can come on and say, I just showed you an example of a pretty darn good white belt test. So if you're getting ready for your white belt test, if you can do this good or close to it, hope this helps. Boom, they're off. They do that once. The instructor that dies is still teaching on that site. Yep. Because all those lessons are recorded, interviews with masters, all those things. And how about the things that your students attribute back to the school that are done in their life that you can actually say, you did what? Here, let me film that. Say that again. Well, I went out and helped this guy because he had cancer, and you were talking about kindness the other night, and all of a sudden, boom, you're talking about other people. Wow. When could we ever do that before?
That's amazing. Yeah, I did a few posts, and I put together a little video slideshow presentation, just going through a few ideas of online training courses that people can build. And it is, like you say, like we said back before, that the technology's come such a long way now that you can really make your course or what you're teaching or your knowledge just infinite.
Well, that's one of the big, giant elephants in the room of the martial arts is that you go to the convention, right? Big convention, a lot of money's being spent, a lot of people there, a lot of top names, and it's all sales. Mm-hmm. It's 90%, it's either physical technique, we're going to train with Mike Swain, there's 80 people in class, right? Or we're going to train with Hoist, you're number 500 in the group. Hoist, I'm over here, take a picture. Okay, but there's no real substantive education, like there's nowhere you can send a 22-year-old instructor to learn about hypermasculinity. What is hypermasculinity and how is it relevant to self-defense? Mm-hmm. Anger management, women's issues, domestic violence, drug abuse, teen issues, dating. All these things sit in the periphery of self-defense. Oh. How about the top 10 killers of adult men, women, and children? The things that actually kill people. Yep. Do we have any courses in the martial arts, or do we just still teach, well, if they attack you, you do this, and then go like this with both hands, It isn't self-defense in today's world. Diabetes, 1 in 3 children will be affected by diabetes in the next decade. That's what they predict. We're not talking about diabetes in our classes. We don't know anything about diet. You know why? I had a friend who was teaching yoga, and he went to learn how to teach yoga, and in the instructor training course, they're freaking dissecting cadavers.
Really?
You go to a martial arts convention, they're learning how to do the Ben Franklin close. The takeaway close. Well, say they can't have it, and then they're going to want it. Boom, then you pounce, Man, oh, man.
I mean,
anyway.
That's brilliant. I mean, just sort of touching on there, I saw a video that you did, and you were talking about sifting out the technique, because like you say, everyone's just... You've only got so many limbs on your body, Say, for instance, for the self-defense, there's only so many ways you can kick and punch and grapple and fight. But what is missing from, if you're putting yourself out there, what is that that element that's missing? Like you say, that it could be the self-defense issues. Talking about diet and health, that's.
Well, I've taught lots of kids. We all have. Most of you watching this have taught lots of kids. I can picture in my mind a big class. Now, remember, if you look 20, 30, 40 kids, I've had kids that died from suicide. I've had kids that were blown up in war. I've had kids that drowned. I've had kids that were hit by cars, died of cancer. Had I known that kid, I remember him to this day. It was 30 years ago. His name was Sam. Mm-hmm. And Sam killed himself in a car with the pipe in, with the carbon monoxide. And I worked with Sam extensively, and he was a good kid, very quiet, very shy. And I thought to myself, of course, after he died, I thought, man, had I known that was his path, I might have been able to do something, Well, we know what's killing kids. We know what's kicking their butts. It's self-image with girls. It's the pressure of the media. It's diabetes. It's diet. And yet we have an industry that almost never addresses these things. And most of the instructors, no, that's not true. We've got a lot of instructors who ought to be watching their own damn diet.
Yep.
You're not looking too healthy, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not eating healthy, you're not talking eating healthy. If you don't study women's issues, you're not talking women's issues. If you don't deal with gender bias, you're not talking about gender bias, because that's where we have to, as an industry, expand. And the good news is that it's all this simple. Now at your fingertips, you have the Smithsonian. It's just when I go to the seminars, I'm boycotting all the conventions for the most part, because it's a protest. Because where's the beef? Where are we training the next generation of instructors? You're just packaging your ideas and selling them for $19.99. That's not working for me anymore. We did that 25 years. Now I want to see educators glorified, not salesmen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway. I'm sorry, Scott, that I have to rush off.
No, that's fine, Tom. I mean, hopefully I can get you back at some time, and we can maybe do some specific points on some tips or something like that.
Yeah, well, I hope that I'll give 3 tips before I go. Number 1, train every day, because if you forget your training and you're running a school, you're destined for some real pain. Training is the key to it all. Second, day timer. You got to use a day timer like you already make $250,000, like you are a master executive. Most of the problems I'm dealing with instructors is because they mismanage their time, and time is finite. It's not infinite in our life. Yeah. Thought I'd turn that phone off just a second. Tip number 2 is you got to use a day timer, because most of the problems I'm dealing with managers is they don't manage their time, and they don't know how to manage other people's time. They don't know how to teach other people to manage their own time, and that creates hundreds of thousands of dollars lost every year. What's the use of marketing like a madman if you don't manage your time well? So, planners. Third tip. See, what is that third tip? Do not live today off tomorrow's money. Do not put your school ever, unless you're desperate, in a situation where you're charging people for tomorrow's lessons and using it to run your business in your life today, because that is a path to destruction. That's like clear cutting a forest and expecting to go back and clear cut it again when nothing's grown. You must build a model for your business that gives enough money off today's income to live and work today. And if that means you have to raise your rates, then so be it. But you can't charge for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years of lessons, and then just run through that money today. It's not sustainable, but it's the model a lot of you learned from Lord Voldemort, who came over to the UK and taught all of you how to run your businesses. And a lot of you went out of business or got desperate for cash. Act out of inspiration, not desperation. And don't let Lord Voldemort come over and tell you that cash outs and big sales are the way, because that's just as dumb as dirt, as we say here in the United States.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, that's fantastic. Thank you very much for your time. I know you're very scarce on it. I'm
sorry I talk so much.
No, it's good. It's good. Hopefully you come back and we can just keep talking and talking.
Well, I'm proud of you for doing the work, and I'll try to watch more of your interviews. And I think that I want to support the small movie studio, the TV studio like yours. I love the baby crying in the background. Once that baby grows up, make sure you have another one, because that just humanizes the whole thing. I want you to have a steady stream of children coming out, so you can
just be like the baby.
Say, man, that guy is real.
Yeah. I mean, right. Tom, again, thank you. And where can people find out more information about yourself or things that you're doing? Where can they find you?
Go to the guywiththebigmouth.com. No, it's you go to my association is called the 100, and the 100 was founded because 100 people together can do what one could never do. That was the premise. What could 100 martial arts masters do? And what we're going to do, and what we're working on doing, is bringing substantive education and learning how to market our schools because of what we do in the world, not just what we say about ourselves. And that's at the 100.us.
Okay.
And that's not just for United States, that's for us. And then
we're allowed into.
And then TomCallos.com is there's always some nonsense there. And then of course I'm on Facebook, Skype, and I'm probably lurking somewhere around your back door. So reach out to me, and yeah, I'm out there. I'm there. I'm ever present. Yeah. I appreciate the interview, and let's talk again in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Tom. And
thank you.
I appreciate it, and we'll catch up soon.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you.